Hi everybody, welcome back. So while we're waiting for those little adapter boards to come in for the Phase Linear 700 so that I can finish up that series, I thought I would just take some time today, it's the weekend, and go over a new product that I found on the internet, and I just kind of impulse purchased it because it looked interesting. Now just know this is not a paid endorsement. I found this on the internet. I think it was popped up on my suggestions on eBay or Amazon or something. And so again, the price range is anywhere from in the $30 to $50 range, depending where you find it, I think, if you just do a search. But I never do endorsements that, for people asking me to review their products. I don't do that. That is one of the main reasons I do not have any of my contact info on my YouTube channel, because I really don't want to get bombarded with those sorts of things. When I first had that up there, I had an email address you could contact me, thinking that I could reach out to some of you, but as the channel grew, and then I started getting inundated with, how about trying my cheap Chinese product, I'll send it to you. I just got tired of that. So if something looks interesting to me, I use my own money, I purchase it, and we try it out. And some of the money that goes towards that comes from you patrons. I really appreciate all that you do, and I'm probably a lousy person when it comes to working with my patrons. I know a lot of other channels have all kind of merchandise, and they do all these fancy video things for their patrons only, and I just don't have the time to do it. I just appreciate the gratitude from those of you who support me. But anyway, what I will do, though, is I put a lot of my schematics and things, and I do have, you have access to me that we can chat and email back and forth if you're a patron. But anyway, enough about that. I don't really try to shill for that. But anyway, yeah, this is not a paid promotion. Now, a lot of you are familiar with this, and I've used it quite a few times. And this is just a plain ESR meter. And this one is really, really good. It's one of my favorite capacitor testers when talking about ESR. There's basically two of them that I use regularly, and one is the Capacitor Wizard. This is nice because of how fast it is and how you can just kind of go through in circuit, test all the electrolytics, and see if any of them have developed really high ESR. It's not doesn't have a lot of resolution because it only goes down to, as you can see, about 100 milliohms. And on a large, high capacity electrolytic, 100 milliohms is not low enough, because it can read down to just a few milliohms for some of these really high-end high capacitance capacitors. But it is good for doing a quick spot check. Now, this one, surprisingly, is a lot less expensive. It's a little bit slower reaction, and so forth, but it is very accurate, and it can read, if you calibrate it, it can read down to about 1 milliohm. And you can see we can short the leads, and you hit 0, and you can see sometimes you have to do it a couple times, and of course you have to have your leads have to be good and tight for them to work properly. But you can see it reads down to a resolution of 1 milliohm. And if you just take a random capacitor here, and you want to make sure they're discharged before you do this, you just pop this on here, and it tells you the ESR, and you can see how low it is on these, high value caps. But that's really all this thing does, is it checks equivalent series resistance in a capacitor. And I'm not going to go over that. You've all seen videos that I've done on capacitors, but this is a very popular piece of test equipment. You can buy it on eBay and Amazon and AliExpress and all those other places. They have them. And it's a really good, inexpensive piece of test equipment to have on your bench, especially if you can't afford something like this one. and for how good it is. It even has a little chart that it comes with, and it also has a little database that will tell you the reference for, you know, a 25 volt capacitor. It'll tell you if it's good or bad, which is nice. All right. So so you can see where it says for 25 volt electrolytic cap, it's a good cap with low ESR. So nice, very simple. Doesn't tell you anything else. Doesn't tell you the capacitance. It doesn't tell you leakage, but you can tell a lot about an electrolytic from its ESR reading. Not everything, but it is a very good first pass test to do. So when I saw this, I was kind of a little bit interested by it. It kind of got my attention because, first of all, it reads the actual capacitance. Second of all, it reads the ESR. Now, we'll find out what frequency it tests at. It doesn't say anything about what test frequency. Most ESR meters will operate at 100 kilohertz. So you can see 100 kilohertz in-circuit tester, ESR at 100 kilohertz. That's kind of a standard because ESR will change with test frequency. Now, if you remember some of the other, like the DE5000 that I use, and I don't have it out right now, but it allows you to have multiple frequencies you can test the ESR. And for certain reasons, you may want to do that. But the standard is 100 kilohertz. This, though, when I turn it on, the first thing I noticed, hope you can see that with all the glare, is that you zero it by, instead of shorting the leads, you zero it by leaving the leads open. So you hit the 0 button. It takes it a few seconds. And there you go. And it is extremely sensitive to the point where it even has a little ground terminal on here. And it does have a USB port. I'm not sure what that's for. I'll have to look it up. But I don't believe it's for recharging, because you actually just put regular alkaline batteries, two AAA batteries, I think, is all you need. Or two AA's, I'm sorry, two AA batteries. And you may be able to operate this from USB power as well. That's what I think that's for. But this ground, it actually can ground this to, a hot water pipe or a cold water pipe or something in your house. And it actually improves the sensitivity, according to the instructions, or the accuracy of really low capacitors. So this is a capacitance meter and an ESR meter. So if I connect this up to this one, number one, look how fast that thing reacts. I mean, it's pretty quick. So this is a 4700 microfarad capacitor. You can see it's reading 4350. It says the ESR is about 10 milliohms. So the ESR isn't quite as, accurate as this one. And here's the really cool thing. It's auto ranging, although you can actually set the range manually. And it says electrolytic capacitor, for if this is an electrolytic. It doesn't know whether it is or isn't. It'll say, it shows you the percent tolerance that it is in. So it guessed that this would be a 4700. How do you like that? And it said that if it is a 4700 microfarad, it's minus 7.5%. So it's 7.5% out of tolerance, reading low. And you can put just about any cap you want in here. Like this is a 220 microfarad, 63 volt. And you see how quickly it reads it. This one's reading 197 roughly. And it's saying that's minus 10.6% at 220. And you can see the ESR is a little higher because the lower the capacitance, the higher the ESR is going to read. And it auto ranges. So here's a 1 microfarad, I think. What is this? 1 microfarad at 50 volts. Okay. and it's reading 953 nanofarads, and it knows it's a 1000 nanofarad cap. It guessed right again. Really works every time. You can also do film caps with it. It doesn't just test electrolytics, but it doesn't know that this is not a film cap. So we're going to measure this one, and you can see this one's pretty bang on, 1026 nanofarads, and it guessed, and it's saying it's plus 2.6%. And of course, it does not read the ESR on this one. So maybe it does know that it's a film, because if I go to this one, let's see, I didn't pay attention to that. No, it won't read ESR below a certain range. So here is, what's this one? This one is 100 microfarad, 99 microfarads. So this one's really close. It's reading an ESR of 140 milliohms, and it's saying that it's only 0.8% low for a 100 microfarad capacitor. And I know the glare is so bad, but see that? So that's really all this thing does, but it does such a good job of it. And you can hit the manual and it'll show you the different ranges. So you can, this is 0 to 47 nanofarad. So this is the lowest range. 47 to 47 microfarad. 47 microfarad to 470,000 microfarads. And this one will go to half a farad. So this has a really high range for reading capacitors. So let's get a high value capacitor and see what it does. Okay, here is an old 22,000 microfarad out of an old amplifier. See how long it takes to read it. There it is. 21,000 millifarads. Or 21 millifarads, 21.11 millifarad, which is 21,000. And it guessed, once again, for a 22,000 microfarad cap, it's at minus 4.2%. And look at the ESR. It's below 10 milliohms. So this is actually, according to this, is still a good capacitor. Now we don't know anything about leakage. You would have to apply voltage to this and test the leakage. Yes, I know there are little gizmos out there that use high impedance input and they can check leakage, but we've already proven that sometimes those don't always work. So anyway, this thing, I don't know, I really like it. If you just needed a quick tester, and I don't know if this will work in circuit. I know that these definitely work in circuit. I doubt that this would, because it actually has to test capacitance, and in order to do that, the way it applies the signal, anything that would be, in with the circuit would affect that reading. Okay, here's a 47 picopuff let's see, silver mica cap. $50 picofarads. And let me see where my ground wire is. I have a test lead that's a grounding test lead. Doesn't really make much difference. But you can see that's pretty close. Let's open the leads and calibrate it again now that it's been on for a while. I'm going to 0 it. Okay. Now these leads aren't the best. We probably could do with a better set of leads, but I think they have to be this length. It's still reading about the same, 50 picofarads, 49. And this is a 47 PF capacitor. So again, very accurate even with little caps. Okay, just for giggles and grins, let's just connect this up. Here we go. Let's test it in circuit. Remember, this is, I think, like 11,000 microfarad. Discharging, see that? Charging. Look at that. ESR is 40 milliohms. Let's see what it does. I'm really interested in this. I don't know how long it's going to take. It's possible that it can't read because there's other things in circuit right now that it's reading across. but it does give you the ESR, and it looks pretty accurate. Let's turn the scope on and let's see if there's any kind of, let's see if we can look at what kind of signal this thing passes. Okay, I have this connected to the scope. There's what we're getting. So it's just kind of a sawtooth waveform with these little pulses. And you see these other little ones, these little blips? Those are little test signals it's sending out. And if I go down into scroll mode, you can kind of see how they kind of move there, the little pulses. Pretty interesting. And this main signal here, the sawtooth, appears to be only about a 1.2 kilohertz waveform. See that? 1.2 kilohertz. So that's it. That's how it does it. And looking at the output of this meter, you can see very clearly it's a 100 kilohertz signal instead of 1 kilohertz. And instead of being 500 millivolts high, it's about 127 millivolts, and we're talking RMS. So it's a lower amplitude signal at higher frequency than the MF470 does. So interesting. So I think the verdict on this is if you just want to check ESR and you need accuracy, especially with lower capacitors, lower rated capacitors, you'll want to still use one of these. But if you want just an overall capacitor meter that can check your capacitance and your ESR in one easy test, this is a great piece of test equipment. I still like it. I think it's going to be a good addition to the bench. But just know its limitations. So just a quick little video today. And I think this will be on my bench. I will use it. I like it. It's very fast. It seems to be accurate. And it pretty much does a lot of what you need to do. So I may experiment with some different leads that are better quality. But that'll probably be down the road a little bit. We'll see. And there's the little warning it gives you. But again, for the price, man, how can you go wrong? So anyway, I wish you all peace, joy, happiness, and good health in your lives. And we'll be back again real soon. And it looks like the delivery of my little adapter boards is coming in 2 more days, which will be just in time to get this completely finished before I go in for my surgery. So I will be able to lift this to get it off of my bench when I'm done, because what I'm planning on doing is some lightweight projects, let's say. Some things like what we just did in this video, and maybe some viewer requests. Any of my patrons out there, thank you again for your support. That's the reason we can do things like this. If you have any suggestions you'd like to see or anything you'd like me to go over, let me know in the comments. And maybe we'll try to accommodate that with the time that I have to do it. So again, take care, everybody. We'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.